You watch a 100-mile drive, and in this video I want to find out if this 2020 Macan Base with 36,000 miles being in a car rental business still feels good to drive, or is it clunky and outdated? And moreover, how does it stack up to its biggest rival BMW X3, all coming in this video. Another thing I was really curious about is how does this Macan feel to drive? Its pickup, its braking, its handling. Like a lot of reviews that I watched, they say that the Macan handles like a regular car, not like an SUV or like a crossover like a BMW X3, all coming in this video. And if you're watching this channel for the first time, well, I say before you buy a car, sign that contract, make sure to rent a car from places like Turo or borrow it from someone and drive it for at least 50 to 100 miles on city streets, highway and canyon roads. To answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel is how does it feel to drive? And if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of my videos. Alright, and looking at the exterior of the Porsche Macan Base, finished in this beautiful blue color, and I kind of like the front fascia of the Porsches. Let's agree, it looks beautiful and it's already inbuilt in our DNA. We kind of like how Porsches look. Now coming on the side, this car has 21-inch wheels, 275 in the fronts, 295 in the rears. This is like bigger than in my X3 M40i that has a 275s in the rear. Now side profile looks good. Not a huge fan of the rear of the Macan, but you know, let's agree it looks fine. Most people who are shopping for this will kind of like it. And let's face it, the 2020 Porsche Macan looks pretty much the same like the latest 2023 model. 2023 model has this like a diamond texture here on the side. Otherwise it looks exactly the same. Now let's go on the inside. All right, and getting on the inside, closing the door. And this cabin, by the way, feels pretty quiet. Now let's immediately look at the quality. This car has been in the business for 3 years. Everything looks pretty sturdy. I definitely like the design of the steering wheel, but I like BMW steering feel better. Like this feels quality, but it's a little slippery, not too much. But like I said, I like the BMW steering better because it's a little thicker and feels more grippier. That's just my preference. Definitely love the paddle shifters. They're like metal here, real metal. That's pretty cool. Now the dash, everything is just top-notch quality. Like the one thing about Porsche, whether it's a Macan, Cayenne, they don't sacrifice like on the quality materials, unlike BMW, by the way. So this is a hard plastic, but everything is nicely molded. Everything is quality. I mean, Porsche quality. Now, if you ask me, how does it feel after 3 years? Well, I'm going to talk about while I'm driving, so I'll give you some insights. It definitely does not look 100% fresh, like brand new, and I'll tell you why as we go ahead and drive it. But otherwise, overall, the center console is pretty sturdy. It does move slightly, but there are no creaks or quicks. I mean, squeaks, but you know, very nice quality. This thing is a little small to me, but you know, it's fine for the class, I guess. All right, and now let's go ahead and drive. Okay, and first we're gonna drive Macan Base in the city. I'm gonna go ahead and start the car. I'm gonna put it in sport mode just to give it a quick acceleration, and we'll discuss how does Macan Base pick up in the city. Now I'm kind of like on the back roads here. I'm not gonna go fast, but you know, just to get an idea. All right, release the handbrake and let's go. All right, just starting here. And let's first talk about the Macan Base's acceleration. And one thing I must say, it's satisfying. I'm gonna hit the stop here and then I'm gonna start again, launch it again. But overall, Macan Base will cater to most people who are shopping for this car. And I'll kind of discuss as we go, who would this car be ideal for? Now coming on the stops, I'm gonna launch it here again. Like I said, nothing crazy, just a quick launch to show how it picks up. All right, there we go. And the car has this quick burps, like burp, burp. It's kind of funny. It's I'm not necessarily liking the engine sound. It feels kind of nice that it does those burps, but they feel like they're somewhere out there, squeezed somewhere. I presume Porsche does not amplify their sound like BMW does, where BMW sounds a little bit more mature, even the 4-cylinder engine. So one more stop, let's just do it again, and then we're gonna talk about it more. All right, and there we go. Yeah, like I said, it is satisfying. It is not super fast, but it's quick enough. It feels faster than the base BMW X3, that's for sure. Also paired with this transmission, the dual clutch PDK, Porsche's Dupling Kaplan. Can never remember that. But this is my first time actually experiencing this transmission for a bit longer than in the past, where actually I'm driving this car now for second day. And I'm very much impressed with this transmission, let's just say that. So now this car, like I said, it is faster than the BMW X3 30i. Of course, not as fast as the 40i, the one that I have, but it's fast enough. It feels, the Porsche claims it's 0 to 60 is about 6 seconds, but when you drive it, it feels somewhere around like 5.6, 5.7 seconds. Like I said, most people will be absolutely fine with this. Me personally, I'm not liking the engine sound as much, although I understand it's a 4-cylinder, it shouldn't be anything crazy. And of course, I would love to have more power. Now I'm curious about the Macan S. As soon as I'm gonna replace the run flat tires on my X3 M40i with the regular tires, I'm gonna bring Macan S, and there'll be a head-to-head comparison. I'm gonna drive them both in the canyon roads and talk about them more and give my verdict. I'm not biased towards BMW. I love Porsches as well. In fact, something I'm hoping to have in the future. So I'm 50-50 on both brands. So I'm gonna give my unbiased opinion on that. Now I'm gonna throw it back into like a comfort mode. In this case, this car just has a sport button, and then you can on it and off it. Let's talk about seats real quick. How does seats feel? These are base seats, and they feel they are firm but supportive. They're firm but supportive, so they'll be fine on the long drives. They're obviously not like really well cushioned, but they're supportive enough to keep you in place, you know, in case you decide to go for a faster run. Next, let's talk about the transmission. The transmission, I want to bring it up, you know, probably many times throughout this video, and that's my favorite part. I love it more than obviously the BMW has a traditional torque converter, like a regular transmission, but it's fast, it's adequate, but this is on another level. The PDK transmission, you know, whether you're in the comfort mode, sport mode, it just boom, 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 boom. And the gear lever I have here, which is a long knob here, I just love resting my hand on it, and I feel like in those, you know, sports cars where I just want to, like, forget about paddle shifters, you know, I just want to do this, you know, let me show you, like, I just want to do those shifts, you know, I just want to downshift, upshift, downshift. It's just so much fun because this transmission just responds. You just shift it and it responds. You shift it and responds. BMW similar, but still this is quicker. I mean, the dual clutch transmission is basically you're in one gear and you're already kind of like a halfway in the next gear, and it just shifts fantastically. I mean, this is by far my most favorite part of this car is the transmission. I love the engine, but I want more power. But transmission is just, it makes the car so playful. It makes the car so alive, agile. So I definitely love the transmission. Now I'm gonna drive on my favorite Tampa Avenue, which is like a beat up road, thanks to a local government to keeping the road that way, especially now after all the rain with all these potholes. So we're gonna talk about suspension on this car, and that's what I was so curious about. How does suspension feel? Now we don't have here any crazy air suspension. This is a basic, you know, adaptive, you know, regular suspension that Porsche has, whatever you can opt in. So the Porsche suspension on the Macan Base, it's firm, it's on the firmer side, but there is some sophistication in the way it handles the bumps. Like in the regular cars, you can feel the rattle, you know, kind of like this, like when you sit. And now in the Porsche Macan, with its completely base suspension, it feels like it kind of glides. It kind of glides over the bumps. So while it feels firm, it feels good. It feels nice. It feels like you can see the car does its job. Like the shocks are damping it pretty nicely, even though the car is firm. Of course, you can hear some of the sound translating into the cabin. Like every time I hit all these bumps and all that, I can hear it somewhere in my roof somewhere. Like there sometimes the sound that you get from observing the bumps, it kind of comes into the cabin. Usually, like, I would love to have it kind of killed at the tire level, I would say. It's kind of not easy to explain it, but basically there is some type of sound that goes into the cabin when you hit a lot of like bumps. I don't know if this is just the car being out there for 3 years now, driving continuously, or is it just how it is? Now I'm jumping into these local neighborhoods. This is part of my favorite test, just to kind of see how easy to drive Porsche on day-to-day running errands. Like, is it easy, right? There's a bumps, I'm gonna have to make some turns, and of course it's very easy to drive Porsche doing running your local errands. The pickup is quick. Like I said, it responds really well. The brakes, let's talk quickly about the brakes. The brakes feel strong. I kind of wished it was a little stronger, but they're absolutely fine. They're absolutely good enough. Now the pedal feel, the brake pedal feel a little weird in the beginning. There's a little gap. Like, it's just a matter of getting used to it. Like a BMW has a very nice, very gradual feel, and it comes from immediately you start feeling. Here there's a little bit like nothing going on when you press it, and then the braking power comes. So like I said, it's just a matter of getting used to it. Like, if I were to record this review yesterday, I would say I don't like it, but I'm driving it for the second day. I already observed all the information that I had from yesterday. I drove it again today, and now I'm okay with it. It absolutely doesn't bother me. It's just a little bit different tune on the brake pedal, and it's absolutely fine. In terms of the steering in this car, right? Of course, we are an SUV platform, but like I mentioned in the beginning, a lot of reviews say the Porsche Macan feels like driving a regular car. And when we hop into the canyon roads, so make sure to stick around in this video, I'm going to talk about more on this. So overall, driving this car, turning it, is very easy. The steering is on the lighter side, but it's very nice to weight it. Basically, it's responsive. As you can see, there's slight body lean, but of course, it's very much controlled. It's very easy to maneuver in this car, and if there's any obstacle in front of you, you'll be able to pretty much react quickly, and the car just behaves fantastically. The BMW steering feels heavier. It's on the heavier side, even in its most comfort mode. So, and the only thing I wish, the steering was slightly thicker. It's a little bit more, it's not slippery, let's just say that, but it's a little bit more like polished kind of steering, thinner. I'm fine with it. Let's just say I'm fine with it. I just kind of like the BMW's feel, that grippy. The material they use is different there, and then it just feels like you want to like hold on to that steering. That's just me, and then I'm sure a lot of BMW enthusiasts will resonate with me as well. So this is pretty much kind of want to talk about this car in the city. Very easy to drive, light steering on the lighter side. It's not super light, it's just on the lighter side. It's not heavy, but responsive. Good pickup. Now acceleration is adequate. The car, like I said, it feels more like 0 to 60 over like 5.7 seconds. You get some burps, in the shifts of the transmission. Transmission is just 100% fantastic. I love the transmission, in this car and basically all the Porsche's car. So now let's go ahead and drive this car on the highway. Now driving Macan Base on the highway. I'm merging a highway here. Let's hop in. All right. Yeah, this car has absolutely no problem climbing, you know, the hills. The transmission picks up. In the comfort mode, transmission is slightly more relaxed, obviously, but when you step on the gas, of course there is a delay when it downshifts to the appropriate gear, but it's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. Now, I'm not sure if the BMW does it slightly quicker, because I do feel a delay here a little more. Can't really tell. It is very close to what it is. Now, driving on the highway, what we want to quickly talk about, the first thing I want to talk about is sound, cabin sound insulation. And this car, to me, feels more insulated than the BMW X3. Let's just say that. It feels more quiet. I noticed that immediately when I picked up this car. I noticed that it's more quiet, more calm, despite, you know, being in the same class firm. So let's quickly look at the meter. And the meter shows somewhere about 66, 65, 66. Yeah, it's 65, 60, yeah, 65, I would say. Overall, the cabin is quiet. I'm pretty impressed with this car. Now, it's more relaxed than X3. The problem with X3 is run flat tires. I mean, like, I can't even tell how my X3 M40i really feels, you know, because of the run flat tires. It's kind of more stressed. Now, this car has a regular summer tires, 21-inch wheels. And by the way, these large wheels, if you guys are considering, if you think is it gonna impact your ride quality, personally, I don't notice much difference. Of course, if I drive 19-inch, probably it'll feel a little bit even more quiet. But overall, I don't see any reason not to get the wheels that you want, because 21-inch wheels feel absolutely fine here, and I love how it looks. Now, in terms of, again, the sound insulation is good. This car can be a cruiser. Like, I had a hard time comparing the X3 to this, and like thinking how they compare, right? And the BMW has a little bit different character, a little bit different signature from the way it feels when you sit inside, how it drives. It has its own attributes, and they're not better nor worse. Like, I can't say this car is level above the BMW. I can't say that. Yes, it does shift quicker. It has different handling. I'm going to talk about it. But overall, BMW feels modern, more modern, feels more kind of spacious. It feels more kind of open in the BMW. Here, like, I can feel like this car is from like 2010, 2012 kind of level, 2015 maybe. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. I love Porsches, and like, maybe in a car like 911, I wouldn't even talk about this because this is what I want. I don't like what BMW is doing with this digital display. I would love to have what I see here in Porsche, but in the Macan, this is the car that a lot of, you know, younger crowd gets, and then a lot of people who enter Porsche family. So I think it's kind of time for them to kind of make it a little bit more modern, because things look small. The screen, you know, with the map looks small. I mean, everything responds nice, but to me it feels like it's from the early days, kind of, you know, and everybody already moved on, you know. Literally everyone moved on. Mercedes, BMW, Audi, everybody's moved on. But the Porsche Macan, even the 2023 model, it looks pretty much the same. Now, the car, like I said, is a cruiser. It is definitely fine for long journeys. My wife, being on the passenger seat, she said she liked this more than the X3, by the way. Now, the problem with this car is the rear seats. Like, they're so cramped. The Porsche said, you know what? People who buy a Porsche, they're drivers, you know, they're gonna drive this car, screw the rear seats, you know. They're okay, they're not bad, but for me, I'm sitting like this tilted a little bit forward because of the, you know, this thing where the sunroof is. This car is probably for people like 5.8 and you know, shorter. Definitely not for taller people. I felt very cramped in there. Not as much as legs, as much as head. And even when you look at the whole space in the back, you see, I mean, Porsche was like, whatever, you know, this is a driver's car, you know, we don't care about the rear seats. The trunk space is okay, but the rear seats are not as good. So these front two seats is where you're gonna spend most time with. And look, I'm cruising along now. I love it. It's very calm, quiet. BMW feels a little bit more bouncy. Even the suspension feels slightly more bouncy. This feels more calm. So now let's go ahead and drive it on the canyon roads and see how all this puts together, works, and what is the Macan has so special in the handling. Let's find out. And now driving Porsche Macan Base on the canyon roads. All right, I'm putting it in sport mode. Let's go. Nice quick shift burps by the transmission. Very responsive. I mean, that's what I love, that this transmission, it just, you know, it's such a team player, okay, in this whole Porsche, you know, ecosystem. And again, I keep saying this, bring your car on the canyon roads. That's how you're gonna actually see how your car actually feel to drive. All right, throwing it in the corner. So let's talk about it. Finally, I get a chance to drive Porsche on the canyon roads and actually see how it handles. I already kind of went through here a few times. And how is it different than, let's say, a BMW X3, even the M40i? Well, it does feel like it handles like a regular car. If a SUV, you know, has, because it's taller, it does turning a little bit different. Like it needs there's a little like more body lean in the way it turns. Then the Macan does everything flatter. There's slight body lean, but overall it stays very flat through the corners, and that's what amazing about it. Like this car can carry much higher speed than even my X3 M40i, believe it or not. Part of that is, of course, wide tires, and Porsche loves putting wide tires on their cars. But the other part of it is just so flat, you know? So flat, and this car is so predictable. I mean, we have an all-wheel drive system here, but it's just amazing how flat this car is through the corners. And I even can put a little bit more speed, and even if it starts to slide, it is so predictable. Inspires confidence. Like if you drive this car in the canyon roads, then you will, you know, appreciate Porsche more. Let me just tell you that. Like just buying this car, you know, just to drive around, just, you know, say I have a Porsche, you know, okay, fine, but this car can do more. This car is capable of more. And look, we're just driving a base Macan. This is not even the S or GTS or, well, now there's S and GTS, right? No turbo. It puts smile on your face. I mean, if a car puts smile on your face on the canyon roads, then it's a driver's car. And Porsche Macan Base, the cheapest car in its class, puts smile in my face. Yeah, and I'm not even going crazy fast, believe me or not. I'm just taking some of these corners, and yeah, this car can carry more speed. I mean, I've driven my X3 M40i here, and not even putting it to the limit, I could already feel the limit on my X3 M40i. This car, being a 4-cylinder, can take corners at higher speed than the X3 M40i. I mean, I'm telling you. All right, so it's a quick demonstration. I'm sure you can find a lot of videos of people driving Porsche. But the whole thing, I like to bring car on the canyon roads because the car opens up. It's like, you know, you get to experience the brakes, you get to experience the, you know, pickup of the car, you get to experience transmission, of course, and the suspension. The biggest thing is the suspension. And actually it's like an orchestra, right? Everything is working together, everything is just, you know, playing its game, and then you can see how every part of the car playing their own game. And everything in the Porsche is such a big team player, like. And I appreciated this Macan Base more after driving it on the Canyon roads, and now I can see how, despite being a crossover, although in the class of the similar crossovers, the Porsche Macan is like, you know, the I would say the lowest, right? The shortest, I would say, right? But it does everything car-like more than the crossover-like. The better than X3 M40i. Let me just tell you that. Now, how is this different? How does this car compare to the X3 or X3 M40i? How is it different? To me, the X3 has slightly more drama. It's a bit more dramatic. Even the base X3, the engine sounds a little bit more mature, louder. This car is more calm. Also, the BMW X3 in the regular city driving, it's a little more bouncy. So it has its own signature, it has its own characteristic. And I kind of like how X3 drives as well. The Macan, on the other hand, is very calm in the city, very calm on the highway. But if you put it in a sport mode and then start playing with it, it's very responsive, it's very agile, it's very playful, and very enjoying to drive. Now you kind of start understanding what Porsche is all about. Porsche is like that mature, you know, whatever that, you know, is mostly calm, and then when needed, it fires up quickly. And that's exactly what this Macan is, Macan Base is. Next, I'm gonna bring Macan S, so make sure to subscribe to this channel. Now I'm gonna go ahead and give my quick summary on this car to wrap up this video. All right, and now I just want to summarize real quick my whole, pretty much 2 days spending with the Porsche Macan Base, and I want to come to a conclusion here. First of all, how does this 3-year-old Porsche Macan feel with 36,000 miles? Well, it feels overall okay. I can say it feels kind of a little bit outdated, especially all these buttons here. I do like the 2022, 2023 models where, you know, it's all digital here. Looks less busy. This looks like a plane to me, like there are buttons throughout. Although you get used to it, but it doesn't feel modern like the newer one is. And like I mentioned, the gauge cluster, even though I like it, I will definitely love this in 911 setup, but in, I think, Macan world, Cayenne world, they can probably bring in some, you know, innovation, at least from the Audi, where Audi, you know, has their digital screens and very configurable ones. Now, in terms of my, oh, and one more thing to mention, as far as creaks and squeaks in the cabin, yes, there are some. The freshest 2023 model, brand new car, will not have that. Like when I was driving on bumpy roads, canyon roads, I kept hearing here and there little things, creaks, something coming through the cabin. Not a big deal. It's not a deal breaker to buy a used Porsche. I think it just overall happens. So, you know, with pretty much any car. But I must say, in general, this car is pretty well built, and the materials are very high quality. Now, my overall experience with Porsche Macan, like if I were to test drive this car at the dealerships, I would be, you know, double-minded. I would probably not even like it, because the Porsche character opens up only by driving it on twisty roads. When you actually feel everything, feel the suspension handling, how everything plays together, then you start understanding the Porsche DNA. You're definitely not gonna feel it. This will feel like Audi to you. Like if you go and drive it around the block and drive a Q5, except the transmission will shift quicker, and it'll be a little bit more responsive. Otherwise, suspension will feel very similar to Audi Q5, but they will feel 100% different when you actually start taking them through twisty corners. Personally, I would love to have more power, better sound, engine sound, and that will kind of complete it for me in terms of the Porsche. So I'm gonna bring Macan S on the channel, and I also, you know, want to tell you, if you spending money on the Porsche Macan, consider Macan S. Maybe you figure out a way to, you know, find a dealership that'll bring the price down for you at least a couple of $1,000s, but at least you'll get a better, bigger engine and then a better sound, even faster car. The fuel efficiency of this 4-cylinder is like horrible. Let's just say that. Porsche is not for fuel efficiency. My X3 M40i with a mild hybrid engine, way more fuel efficient than this 4-cylinder, and in my car I have a 382 horsepower. Now also in terms of like a price and deals, there are no deals on Porsches, at least for now, in California. When I kind of did shop around and tried to do some dry numbers, I came around 1,100 on a lease, 1,150 or something on a lease for similarly loaded car with like a 64 MSRP. And then the X3 M40i was like $300 less, okay, which is 66 MSRP. So it kind of tells you that Porsche is not about deals and numbers. It's about loving the product, loving the drive experience, and investing in it. It's kind of an investment. Now, what is my verdict on the Porsche Macan? Well, I'll go 8 out of 10 as the feel. I think, you know, I'm not talking about utility here, because I think Porsche has to do a better job, you know, caring about the rear passengers a little bit more than they are right now, and the taller people as well. But in terms of driving dynamics, I think this is one of the best driving car in this segment that I've experienced so far, including my X3 M40i. Let's just say that. The X3 M40i is a far more dramatic. I love the character of that BMW a lot, and I would not trade it for the base Macan, for sure not. But this car feels like a lot more capable in terms of like a handling. I think the handling characteristics of this car just beat the X3 M40i in my opinion. So I hope you like this review. Give me a thumbs up, give me a like button, subscribe to this channel, and I'll talk to you soon.